Welcome to today's lesson on the buildup of lactic acid as a result of vigorous exercise. In today's lesson, we will explore how our bodies respond to intense physical activity and manage the resulting biochemical changes. Then we will focus on understanding how vigorous exercise leads to the buildup of lactic acid in muscles. We will also discuss how this accumulation results in an oxygen debt, and how the body requires additional oxygen to convert lactic acid into harmless carbon dioxide and water. So far, you have learned that anaerobic respiration produces lactic acid in animals. This knowledge lays the groundwork for understanding the additional metabolic processes that follow intense exercise. Understanding the buildup of lactic acid and the concept of oxygen debt highlights the body's remarkable ability to adapt to strenuous conditions. It sheds light on the importance of oxygen in metabolic reactions and helps explain why proper breathing and recovery are critical components of exercise routines. When we engage in vigorous exercise, our muscles contract more and require extra energy. Normally, our cells generate energy through a process called aerobic respiration. This involves breaking down glucose, a sugar, using oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. However, during intense exercise, our bodies can't supply oxygen to the muscles quickly enough to keep up with the energy demand. In an ideal situation, our muscles get enough oxygen to sustain aerobic respiration. However, during intense or prolonged exercise, our body might not be able to supply oxygen to the muscles quickly enough. When this happens, the muscles switch to anaerobic respiration to produce energy. This process is faster and doesn't require oxygen. Instead of producing carbon dioxide and water, anaerobic respiration results in the formation of lactic acid. While this allows muscles to keep working for a short period, it has its downsides. Lactic acid accumulates in the muscles, leading to fatigue and reducing their ability to contract effectively. Anaerobic respiration allows muscles to continue working without oxygen, but it comes at a cost. Instead of breaking down glucose into carbon dioxide and water, anaerobic respiration produces lactic acid. This lactic acid accumulates in the muscles, leading to a burning sensation and muscle fatigue. If the lactic acid isn't removed quickly enough, the muscles can become too fatigued and are no longer able to contract properly. So what happens once the exercise stops? The body needs to convert the accumulated lactic acid back to non-harmful substances to allow the muscles to recover. Here's where the concept of oxygen debt comes in. Oxygen debt refers to the extra oxygen your body needs after exercise to metabolize the lactic acid that has built up. Essentially, the body is repaying the oxygen that was borrowed during anaerobic respiration. The accumulated lactic acid is transported through the bloodstream to the liver. Here, it is converted back into glucose, a process that also requires oxygen. This glucose can then either be stored for future energy use or further broken down into carbon dioxide and water through aerobic respiration. This process helps clear the lactic acid from the muscles and ensures they can function normally again. The greater the intensity of the exercise, the larger the oxygen debt. This is why after a strenuous workout, you find yourself breathing heavily even after stopping exercise. Your body is working to take in more oxygen to meet the oxygen debt and break down the lactic acid. This recovery process is essential for the muscles to regain their capacity to contract efficiently and to prevent fatigue from setting in too quickly during the next exertion. This is why it takes some time to recover after exercising. The greater the oxygen debt, the more oxygen you need to break down lactic acid. Once the lactic acid builds up, it doesn't stay put in the muscles. The blood transports it to the liver. This is an essential part of recovery because the liver is the only organ capable of converting lactic acid back into glucose. Without this transport and conversion, the lactic acid would continue to cause discomfort and impair muscle function. Let's consider a practical example, running a 400-meter sprint. During the race, your muscles rapidly use up oxygen to generate the necessary energy. But as you near the finish line, your body can't supply oxygen fast enough. So your muscle cells switch to anaerobic respiration and lactic acid starts to build up. This is why you feel a burning sensation in your legs and have difficulty continuing at the same intensity. Once the race is over, you're likely gasping for air and your heart is pounding. This is your body's way of repaying the oxygen debt. During this time, your muscles are working to clear the lactic acid and return to their normal function. To summarize, we learnt how energy is required for muscle contraction during exercise and is usually provided by aerobic respiration. Intense exercise leads to a rapid increase in energy demand that can't be met by aerobic respiration alone. The muscles switch to anaerobic respiration, resulting in a buildup of lactic acid. Post-exercise, the body incurs an oxygen debt as it needs extra oxygen to convert lactic acid back into glucose in the liver and then break this glucose down into carbon dioxide and water. This entire process ensures that your muscles recover and prepare for the next bout of activity. It's important to remember that anaerobic respiration only occurs when there's not enough oxygen, producing lactic acid, which in turn causes muscle fatigue and needs to be broken down after exercise. Extra oxygen is needed after exercise to convert lactic acid back to glucose and further into carbon dioxide and water. Finally, the liver's role is to convert lactic acid back to glucose, aiding in the recovery of muscles. Understanding these concepts not only helps you grasp what happens in your body during and after exercise, but also underscores the importance of adequate recovery time and breathing deeply post-exercise to help repay the oxygen debt.